Hey, it's Tom
and Mike
from Take Time to Travel.
After having traveled throughout the world, we've realized how lucky we are to be born in Canada and be able to explore all over this exceptionally beautiful country. From the stunning natural scenery of the Rocky Mountains and Niagara Falls to the Metropolitan Landscapes of Toronto, the west coast city of Vancouver, and of course, Montreal. There are so many reasons to visit, so we put together a Canada travel guide to give you some ideas on the top things to do and where to visit during your time in our absolutely spectacular country.
We'll start in Montreal, in the city's historic Old Montreal neighborhood. Its vibrant walking streets are lined with inviting restaurants and patios, like our favorite terrace in the city called Jardin Nelson, which is located in one of the many charming old stone buildings. And just a short walk away, there's the Old Port, where you'll see La Grande Rue de Montréal, Canada's largest Ferris wheel that gives some fantastic perspectives of the St. Lawrence River, the city, and even Montreal in the distance.
Montreal is another great place to explore. It has extensive walking trails that are perfect for a hike, especially in the fall when the leaves on the trees are changing colors. And from the top, there's a nice observation deck that gives some incredible views overlooking the city. Nearby is the laid-back Le Plateau neighborhood. It's a green and leafy area that has some fabulous old architecture, delicious bistros, as well as bakeries, scrumptious Quebecois cuisine like poutine at La Banquise, and Montreal smoked meat sandwiches at Schwartz's Deli. There's also some lovely walking streets to stroll along in the summer months like Duluth and Mont-Royal Avenue.
Montreal is also Canada's art and culture hub, with the city being covered in street art and some spectacular murals, some of which are painted during the Mural Festival that happens in June. During the festival, the main street, Saint Laurent Boulevard, is closed to traffic and becomes a bustling walking street filled with many different vendors, street performers, music, and you can even watch some new murals being painted. There are also numerous other amazing festivals in Montreal to explore throughout the year, which are definitely worth a visit.
While you're in Quebec, make sure to check out Quebec City. This historic city is actually more than 250 years older than Canada, so it's no surprise that you'll also find some beautiful old stone buildings here, especially in the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Old Quebec. The most iconic building in the city would have to be the Fairmont Le Château Frontenac Hotel, which has a striking lobby, as well as many luxurious rooms and suites. In Quebec City, we also tried the best crepes of our lives at Le Belig, took a short trip over to the impressive Montmorency Falls, and had a guided tour of Ile d'Orléans, including stops at a few of the different wineries.
Another spot in Quebec to visit is Mont Tremblant, specifically the Mont Tremblant Village, which is pedestrian only and is surrounded by colorful buildings and European-style architecture that's home to many inviting restaurants and shops. Now, if you can only visit one of these, make sure it's La Savoie, where we had this absolutely massive half wheel of raclette cheese brought to our table so that we could melt as much cheese as we wanted onto a variety of different foods. Mont Tremblant is also perfect for nature lovers, with lots of different picturesque hiking trails throughout the mountains.
If you're not much into hiking, you can also take the gondola up to the top for some incredible panoramic views, and then perhaps take a series of zip lines back down. We also really enjoyed ATVing through the forest, taking a scenic boat ride on gorgeous Lac Tremblant, relaxing at the Scandinave Spa, and if you're there in the winter, it's a popular spot for skiing and snowboarding.
Next, we'll leave the wonderful province of Quebec and head to the neighboring province, Ontario, starting with the capital, Toronto, the biggest city in Canada, beginning with the tallest building in North America, the CN Tower, where you can take the elevator up and walk on a glass floor 1,115 feet above the ground and take in some breathtaking panoramic vistas overlooking the city as well as Lake Ontario and the Toronto Islands.
If you're interested in checking out the Toronto Islands, then you can take the Toronto Island Ferry or one of the water taxis over and enjoy some of the best views of Toronto's cityscape. On the islands, you'll find the Kids Centerville Amusement Park, as well as nice pathways and trails, multiple sandy beaches, stunning views of the Toronto skyline, yacht clubs and marinas, and even quaint little cottages.
Now let's head back across the water and make our way to Toronto's waterfront, which has some great pedestrian walkways, scenic seating areas like at the Toronto Music Garden, lovely urban beaches like Sugar Beach, as well as the super popular HTO Beach, and of course, a few waterfront patios. Some other great patios to check out are the city's rooftop terraces like Coast at the Bisha Hotel and the Writer's Room Bar at the 5-Star Park Hyatt.
Right outside of the hotel is the Royal Ontario Museum, as well as the Mink Mile on Bloor Street, which is perfect for those looking for luxury shopping. Just north of Bloor Street is the upscale Yorkville neighborhood that also has lots of high-end designer shops, and of course, there's lots of fancy restaurants too. If you want more reasonable shopping prices, then head over to the Eaton Centre. Just out front is Yonge Dundas Square, which is Canada's smaller version of Times Square.
Continuing west along Dundas Street, you'll arrive in Chinatown, that's known for its fresh produce markets, as well as its cheap stores and its many different tasty Asian restaurants. It's also located right beside the vibrant and trendy Kensington Market, which is a walkable bohemian neighborhood that's filled with an eclectic mix of art and indie shops, as well as more delicious eateries.
One more cool neighborhood in Toronto to check out is the Distillery District, whose cobblestone streets once housed a large whiskey distillery and has since been converted into a popular pedestrian-only village. In the winter, it's especially picturesque with the holiday lights and decorations for the Christmas market. Another wonderful place to check out around Christmas time is Casa Loma, which is beautifully decorated for the season and is a great family-friendly activity. Some more family-friendly activities are to catch a Blue Jays game at the Rogers Centre right next to the CN Tower, exploring Ripley's Aquarium, and checking out the spring cherry blossoms in High Park. If you love nature, then also make sure to head north of Toronto to Cottage Country for a relaxing getaway.
For some more spectacular scenery, make sure to visit Niagara Falls, one of the most impressive waterfalls in the entire world. A few of the best ways to see the falls are from the observation deck beside Table Rock, as well as from the base of the falls, accessible via the Journey Behind the Falls attraction, and also from the Hornblower boat. It's the most intense experience, so fair warning, you definitely will get wet. Further downriver from the falls, you can also walk alongside the powerful rapids on a scenic trail called the Whitewater Walk. And while in Niagara Falls, you should also check out the Main Street Clifton Hill, which has lots of attractions for all ages. And if you're feeling lucky, you can always visit one of the casinos.
If you're looking for some more breathtaking rugged natural vistas, make sure to head over to the picturesque town of Banff in the province of Alberta to visit the iconic Canadian Rocky Mountains, where you can take a lovely 8-minute journey soaring about 2,300 feet up Sulphur Mountain on the Banff gondola and enjoy some incredible panoramic views. Up here, you can also stroll along the Sulphur Mountain Boardwalk, which leads over to Sanson Peak, the highest point on Sulphur Mountain.
After taking the gondola ride back down, take some time to check out the impressive Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel and its terrific terrace at the Rundle Bar, which is the perfect place to grab a drink and have a bite to eat, while enjoying the absolutely incredible expansive perspectives of the surrounding mountains. The Fairmont Banff Springs also has one of the top-rated golf courses in the world, where we were lucky enough to see some of the local wildlife.
Additionally, while visiting the Rocky Mountains, you have to go to LiQWYD, which has a vibrant turquoise color to it. Just a short 20-minute bus ride away is the exceptionally beautiful Moraine Lake, which is situated in the Valley of the Ten Peaks and also has a stunning blue hue.
Driving about 150 kilometers into the dramatic Jasper National Park, have a quick stop to take in the views of Bow Lake, then continue over to the Athabasca Glacier, which is part of the Columbia Icefield. Here you can take an excursion on one of these giant Ice Explorer buses and get a once-in-a-lifetime experience walking on an ancient glacier. Included in this attraction is the Columbia Icefield Skywalk, where you can go out on a glass floor almost 1,000 feet above the ground and take in the phenomenal views of the jagged natural landscape of the Canadian Rocky Mountains.
Now we'll head almost 1,000 kilometers over to the next province, British Columbia, to check out its biggest city, Vancouver, starting with its seawall, which is the world's longest uninterrupted waterfront pathway. It stretches 28 kilometers and includes must-visit attractions like Cole Harbour, with its beautiful scenery, as well as its yacht clubs and marinas, which takes you over to the almost 1,000-acre Stanley Park that has gorgeous flower gardens, old-growth trees, and some phenomenal views of Vancouver's skyline. Another place on the seawall with amazing city views are by the Olympic Village, next to Science World.
Additionally, there's some fantastic sandy beaches like English Bay Beach, as well as the appropriately named Sunset Beach, which has a nice little dog park, and where nearby you can find this multi-million-dollar chandelier under a bridge. There's also a local favorite, Kitsilano Beach, with its lovely mountain views, and in the Kitsilano neighborhood, we found some great restaurants like Resu, as well as East is East for all you can eat. The Greek festival was lots of fun too, but there are lots of other free festivals throughout the year in Vancouver, like the Symphony at Sunset, where the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra performs next to the beach, as well as the Celebration of Light, a fireworks competition where 3 different countries compete with extravagant 30-minute displays.
Close to Vancouver, you should also check out North America's largest night market, called the Richmond Night Market, and you can't miss taking a ride on one of the aqua buses or the False Creek ferries for a cheap boat ride with some wonderful views from the water, and head over to Granville Island for a delightful day exploring the market, dining on a terrace with some of the best views in the city, or even to take one of these boats and go whale watching to see some of the local wildlife and learn a little bit too. But my favorite activity would have to be visiting the Capilano Suspension Bridge Park, that includes the 450-foot-long Capilano Suspension Bridge that towers 230 feet above the Capilano River. There's also the Treetops Adventure, where you can walk up to 110 feet high in the canopy along 7 suspension bridges that are connected to old-growth Douglas fir trees, as well as the Cliff Walk, which is cantilevered 30 stories above the river down below.
While in British Columbia, head over to Vancouver Island, starting with the province's capital city of Victoria, where you'll find the impressive Parliament Building, as well as the magnificent Fairmont Empress Hotel, where we enjoyed a wonderful afternoon tea together on Christmas Eve. Just out front of the Empress is Victoria's Inner Harbour and its extensive walking pathways and trails that continue in both directions for quite a distance.
From the harbourfront walkway, you can stroll over to Fisherman's Wharf, where you'll find a bright collection of floating homes, as well as some restaurants, patios, and shops. You can also take one of these cute little harbour ferries over to the docks at Fisherman's Wharf. From the harbor, it's just a short walk over to Government Street, which is perfect if you're looking for a bite to eat or to buy a souvenir to remember your trip.
If it's nature you're searching for, the city streets are lined with hundreds of cherry trees full of blossoms in the springtime. And in Beacon Hill Park, there's even some peacocks roaming around or relaxing on a fence. You can also sometimes find seals swimming in the water out by the Ogden Point Breakwater Lighthouse, otters in the harbor, go on a whale watching tour, hike through Goldstream Provincial Park, relax on the beach by Gonzales Bay, or check out Butchered Gardens, which is seasonally decorated with Christmas lights for the holidays. Taking a seaplane ride is pretty cool too, especially if you're taking it over to Vancouver, where you'll get some spectacular perspectives of the harbor and the skyline. We'd also recommend heading up island to the quaint little surf town of Tofino, which is the perfect place to relax and unwind, or to take a hike through the scenic rainforest trails as well as sandy beaches, which are popular for surfing year-round.
Nearby is another amazing little town called LiQWYD, where you can hike along the picturesque Wild Pacific Trail that has some phenomenal views of the Pacific Ocean and its powerful waves crashing against the rugged coastline. There are so many incredible places to explore in Canada, and we hope we gave you some good ideas on what to do during your visit. If we did, please like and subscribe, and check out our in-depth travel videos about each one of these places, as well as the best places to eat in the description section down below. And remember, take time to travel. Catch you on the next one.